A warning sign for New York City's economy potentially here. New data showing that the return to office trend might be stalling out. There's a report out from Axios showing that the office vacancy rate is holding steady at roughly 60% compared to the levels that we saw in 2019. Now, it is important to point out that it is up about 10% from what we were looking at, the levels that we were looking at just about a year ago. But we have certainly flatlined, as you can see on that chart. And Nikiko, I think the big question here is whether or not, if workers are under more pressure, if the economy does worsen, we start to see layoffs, whether or not employers at that point, you would think, are going to have the upper hand. And if they do, if they want to bring back their employees to the office, will that be what it takes in order to see more of a shift? Or is this simply as high as these rates are going to get?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it really feels like companies as well as employees are kind of at a crossroads right now. You know, for years since the pandemic began, we have seen a very flexible work environment for these companies who wanted to keep those employees on board. But at some point, you've got to make a decision to say, look, this is our policy. You have to return to work and be okay with the idea that some employees may say, well, if that's the case, I just can't work for this company anymore. So you'd imagine the shakedown is going to take a little longer, but New York City probably a good example, a good indicator of the challenges a lot of companies are facing, that they had a ramp up compared to where they were in 2020, of course, but 2021. At one point, you hit a ceiling and you have to make a decision to say it is mandatory or it's not, and sort of decide where the productivity is going to be moving forward. But I can tell you, not really much better here in LA, although traffic is bad and you think that people are actually going back to work because of the traffic.
I take the bus into work and I am amazed. It is completely full Tuesday through Thursday, although Monday this morning and Fridays, I'm normally one of 10 people on it. So I guess a lot of people really have that hybrid option, and that's what people are opting to do if they are given that chance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we heard all last year, right? That it's going to be increasingly hybrid, that workers will have to come back on some days, but maybe have Friday at home. But we'll see which direction that moves in for these companies.